For weeks, something deeply uncomfortable was unfolding on WNBA courts across the country. Caitlin Clark, the most talked-about rookie in women's basketball history, was being targeted. Hard fouls, deliberate physicality, the kind of treatment that raises eyebrows and demands a response. Yet the league stayed silent. Analysts danced around the subject. The media tiptoed carefully. Fans were furious, and rightfully so. Then, one by one, voices began to break through the noise. Not from WNBA front offices, not from league commissioners. The loudest voices came from an unlikely place, the NBA. Some of the biggest names in men's basketball stepped forward, unprompted and unfiltered, to say what many people were already thinking. And here at WNBA Updates, we're breaking down exactly what they said, why it matters, and what it tells us about the moment women's basketball is living through right now. When Pascal Siakam was asked which player receives the most love from fans, nobody expected him to name a WNBA player. Siakam is an NBA All-Star champion, one of the smoothest two-way players in the game, and someone who typically keeps his public comments within his own lane. But he didn't hesitate. He brought up Caitlin Clark, not as a passing mention or a polite nod, but as someone drawing more fan adoration than almost anyone else in basketball. More tellingly, he compared the attention and energy surrounding her to that of Tyrese Halliburton, one of the NBA's most electric point guards. That's not a routine compliment. That's a statement about cultural reach. What makes Siakam's words stand out is that he didn't have to say any of it. Nobody put him up to it. He volunteered the name Caitlin Clark in a conversation that wasn't really about her. That kind of organic endorsement carries far more weight.
Oh man, Caitlin is she's a beast, man. Like, and they love her. So I'll probably say Caitlin Clark. I love Tyrese, but she's another level in terms of just the love that she has.
Give that weight than any press release or coordinated shout-out campaign. When a player of Siakam's caliber drops your name in elite company without being asked, it means you've crossed a line that most athletes never reach, the invisible barrier between leagues, between fan bases, between worlds. Caitlin Clark has crossed it. Obi Toppin isn't someone you'd expect to deliver a profound sports media moment. He's not known for carefully crafted sound bites or philosophical breakdowns of the game. But that's exactly what makes what he said about Caitlin Clark so meaningful. He talked about watching her courtside, seeing her excitement, and noticing something real, that the energy NBA players bring to their games mirrors what Caitlin brings to hers. He framed WNBA players as equals, not as a novelty act or a charity case. He spoke about the joy of watching Caitlin play the same way you'd talk about watching any elite athlete do their thing. That kind of language matters. It's not patronizing. It's not performative. It's the natural language of one competitor recognizing another. Obi Toppin's comments may not have gone viral, but within basketball circles, they say something important. Caitlin Clark has earned the respect of her peers across both leagues, not because of marketing campaigns, but because the work speaks for itself. Tyrese Halliburton had a unique perspective to offer. As a fellow Indianapolis athlete, both he and
Caitlin's amazing. Super amazing. She's a great player. Having her be courtside and watching our games is awesome. We see the excitement that she has on the sides, but just like she's doing that, we do the same. Like when they're playing, like it's so much. It's a joy to watch.
And Caitlin Clark represent the city's franchises. He's had actual proximity to her world. He's seen the attention up close. He's watched how she handles the media storm that follows her everywhere. When he spoke about Caitlin, he didn't just praise her stats or her shooting range. He acknowledged something deeper, that she's dealing with an enormous amount of noise, controversy, and outside pressure that she has absolutely no control over, and that she handles it with a grace that he finds genuinely remarkable. He went further, placing her among the top 5 most recognizable basketball figures on the planet right now, a list that includes LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Nikola Jokic. That's not hype talking. That's a fellow professional watching the numbers, reading the room, and calling it like he sees it. Halliburton wasn't just celebrating Caitlin the player. He was standing up for Caitlin the person, drawing attention to the unfair weight she carries and the extraordinary way she manages it. That empathy, coming from a rising NBA star, adds a dimension to the Caitlin Clark conversation that goes well beyond highlight clips and shooting percentages. When LeBron James decides to weigh in on something, the sports world doesn't just listen, it shifts. He is the benchmark by which basketball greatness has been measured for 2 decades. His words carry institutional weight. So when he spoke about Caitlin Clark, it wasn't just a celebrity endorsement. It was a generation.
She's, I think for me, getting to actually spend time around her, be around her, get to know her personally, she's just an amazing person, an amazing player. She deals with there's a lot of rhetoric behind her that she really has no control over, and I think that the way she handles that is just amazing. Like, I think when it comes to the game of basketball, like, she's probably top 5 most famous people that are playing right now, just in general. That includes our league as well.
Recognition. LeBron zeroed in on what Caitlin represents beyond the box score. He talked about the WNBA flying chartered planes for the first time in league history, something directly tied to the revenue and visibility that Clark's arrival generated, and he called it something worthy of celebration on its own. He understands what it means to be the engine driving an entire organization forward. He's lived it. He knows the target that gets painted on your back when you become that person, and perhaps that's why he sees something of himself in Caitlin Clark, not ego, recognition. The kind that can only come from someone who has personally experienced the pressure of being the face of a movement. LeBron didn't just admire what she's doing. He respected it, and those are very different things. Trae Young challenged Caitlin Clark to a 3-point contest at All-Star Weekend, and the internet exploded. But strip away the entertainment value, and what you have is something genuinely fascinating. One of the game's most creative offensive players acknowledging a peer. Young pointed out that he and Caitlin Clark are the only 2 players in NCAA history to lead the nation in both points and assists in a single season. That's a historic statistic.
Because everybody is looking for you to say anything, and they're going to splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. And I think for her, the one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane for the first time in their league history. They flew private. That should be celebrated in its own right.
LeBron footnote that perfectly illustrates the level of playmaking intelligence Clark brings to the game. Trae didn't treat her like a novelty. He treated her like a fellow craftsperson whose skills demand his respect. The fact that he openly admitted he'd need to seriously prepare before competing against her in a shooting contest says everything. That's not false humility. That's a competitor acknowledging another competitor's capabilities without any ego getting in the way. Caitlin Clark isn't just being talked about in the NBA world. She's being invited into it. While most players either praised Caitlin outright or avoided the topic entirely, Paul George offered something rarer, genuine context. He zoomed out from the noise and addressed something that many people feel but rarely articulate: the complicated emotions that come with overnight cultural transformation. George acknowledged that veteran WNBA players have spent years grinding to grow the game, fighting for recognition, advocating for better conditions, and building the foundation that Caitlin Clark now stands on. And then, seemingly overnight, a rookie arrived and became the undisputed face of the league. He noted that it's human nature for some of those veteran players to
hype about Steph and Sabrina. I know that you have spoken about Caitlin Clark. You're a big Caitlin Clark fan.
Oh, yeah.
She, of course, is an excellent shooter. Would you ever do like a Caitlin Trae 3-point contest at All-Star?
Of course I would. I've gotten to talk to her too throughout our college years. We're the only 2 people that ever led college in points and assists. That's a crazy stat. I'd have to definitely practice a lot more than I have for these previous 3-point competitions. Nah, I'd be ready for sure. I'd do it.
Feel a complicated mix of emotions about that shift, and he chose not to dismiss those feelings. Critically, Paul George wasn't criticizing Caitlin. He called her an instant change, which is as close to a compliment as it gets. But he also chose to humanize the tension surrounding her arrival rather than pretend it doesn't exist. That kind of thoughtful, layered commentary is rare in sports media, and it reflects well on George. He didn't justify hostility toward Clark. He explained it, and there's an important difference between those 2 things. Luka Doncic is not someone who performs for the camera. He says what he means and moves on. So when he was asked to name his favorite women's basketball player and responded with Caitlin Clark, immediately and without any diplomatic hedging, it landed with weight precisely because of how unvarnished it was. When asked about Paige Bueckers, he shrugged and said she was okay, but that he hadn't seen her playing at the professional level yet. Not a dismissal of Bueckers' talent. A clear acknowledgement that what Caitlin is doing in the WNBA, night after night under enormous scrutiny while being physically targeted, is what earns his respect. He understands what professional basketball demands: He knows how hard it is to deliver consistently at that level. And in his estimation, Caitlin Clark is delivering. From Luka, that's not a compliment. That's confirmation. If there was one moment that crystallized everything, it was Steph Curry. The greatest shooter in NBA history, a man whose name is synonymous with the evolution of modern basketball, decided he'd seen enough. He watched the cheap shots accumulate. He watched the league say nothing. And he spoke. His message was blunt. He was tired of watching Caitlin Clark get attacked. And if the league didn't step up to protect her, things were going to get worse. That's not a press release. That's a warning from someone with enormous influence and the credibility to back it up. But Curry went further. He didn't just defend her. He studied her. He broke down her release time and concluded it was nearly identical to his own. He called her a performer. He praised her floor vision, her passing, her fearlessness from deep range. He called her the total package. When the man who changed how basketball is played calls you the total package, that is as close to a passing of the torch as the sport allows. Steph Curry wasn't being generous. He was being precise. Not everyone in the NBA responded with warmth. Jason Tatum, when asked his favorite WNBA player, answered simply with a Ja Wilson. No acknowledgement of Caitlin Clark, no context, just a name and silence. It was brief, deliberate, and spoke volumes. Kevin Durant's response carried even more pointed energy. Given the chance to celebrate the biggest story in women's basketball, he chose instead to highlight Caitlin's most prominent media rival. Whether calculated or casual, the choice registered as a statement, one that, coming from someone with Durant's platform and media intelligence, felt anything but accidental. Neither of these moments are about who those players chose to celebrate. They're about what those choices reveal, that even at the highest levels of the sport, Caitlin Clark's rise is forcing people to take sides, make declarations, and reveal where they actually stand. Here at WNBA Updates, we think about this moment a lot, because what's happening around Caitlin Clark isn't really about one player anymore. It's about a sport reckoning with its own transformation in real time. Veterans who built the foundation, a rookie who lit the fuse, a league scrambling to manage an explosion it didn't fully anticipate, and NBA stars, some of the most famous athletes on the planet, watching from the sidelines and feeling compelled to say something. Greatness does that. It doesn't generate polite applause. It generates strong reactions, passionate opinions, and conversations that refuse to stay neatly contained. The fact that LeBron, Steph, Luka, Tree, Halliburton, Siakam, Toppin, and George are all talking about a WNBA player with this level of seriousness tells you everything you need to know about where Caitlin Clark stands in the basketball universe right now. She's not a story. She's not a moment. She's a movement, and she's just getting started. Make sure to subscribe to WNBA Updates and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest coverage. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear which NBA player's reaction surprised you most. See you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. I read every single one.